What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mindset Mutiny. I am your host, Mike Ivanov. So if you're just catching up, last week we talked a lot about macronutrients, kind of where I'm going, how I've been recovering. I touched on quickly that I had been on a pretty awesome run that I wanted to share with you, but I just didn't want to share it right then. So I want to share it today. And listen, I will do it pretty quick. I don't want you to, if you don't like running, to click off the episode. So I'll run through it quick, but then we're going to talk a little bit about discomfort and discipline. I'll give you kind of my thoughts on it. There's a quote that I'll share with you as well. But so let's get started. So last Sunday, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, got over to the local trails at 4 a.m. I had foot on trail at 4:01 a.m., and it was in complete darkness. So that had come as an idea for me in the middle of the day. I was coming back from the coffee shop. I've been journaling, and I passed by this farm that I typically run at, obviously during the daytime. And I was like, man, you know what? Like, it'd be fun to take it up a notch and kind of go run in total darkness. So as soon as those types of thoughts come in my mind, I have to kind of act on them. And I touched on this last time, but, you know, right as I'm trying to get ready to go to bed, that bitch voice is coming on telling me to not do it and take it easy. No big deal. You don't have to wake up that early. Do it later on. But, you know, that's just like temporary. I really wanted to do it. I thought it'd be a fun experience. So set the alarm, got up 3:30 in the morning, headed over there, step out on the trail, and it's beautiful. It's quiet. All you can hear is the birds or the crickets and just nature. I don't know exactly what was like chirping away, but it was definitely loud, and I was definitely super alone, and there was nothing but moonlight there to kind of light the path. So I brought a headlamp with me, amongst some water and some things to eat. I knew I was going to put in at least 5 miles, so I've been practicing eating and running because that's going to be required for the 20-miler. So I've been kind of practicing my carb intake, calorie, and sodium intake while I'm moving. So it was just kind of an exercise I was going to run through. So took the headlamp and I threw it on. I have like a green. It's like a green light, like kind of a light you see used in the military or like in low light environments. It doesn't dilate your pupils as much as other types of light that will be used at night. And also, I don't want to say unbeknownst to me, but trails don't really open up until sunrise. And I was at least an hour and a half before sunrise. So I figured I'd keep the impact low, just run under the green light so I'm not easily spotted out there, you know, running through the field with the white light going. And I knew once I hit the woods, you wouldn't be able to really see me because there's absolutely zero light and visibility in there at that point. So I have to run down through a working farm through it's like a tractor road, you know, it's kind of beat up gravel. So I was running down through there and ended up scaring some of the pigs. I was actually terrified because I was coming like literally 3 minutes into my run and I start hearing all this like galloping and kind of snorting. And, you know, I didn't know it was pigs at the time, but I jumped a mile. Able to collect myself real quick, look over and see that, you know, the pigs were running away. I scared the shit out of them just like they scared me. So it's like a great way to start the day with quite an adrenaline rush. So I just kept kind of chugging away, made my way through the prairie, came into the woods. And as I enter the woods, you go up against this rock wall that separates you from this beautiful prairie. And it's the rock wall, and then it's like deep woods. So kind of chugged through that path up that way. I had to turn the white light on for a minute or two because I could barely see in this a heavily rooted section, and I didn't want to fall for obvious reasons. So made a corner at the end and headed down towards like there's some wetlands. I had to cross over like some wetlands in a prairie area, and I kind of just took a minute to stop and turn my light off, and it was complete darkness. All you could see was the stars. I couldn't see like the hand in front of my face. It was pretty cool. Was also a little terrifying. I could feel, actually, it's kind of interesting to mention, I could feel my nervous system was a little bit elevated. It was kind of telling me like, hey dude, like we're out here, we haven't been out here before, pay attention, just be alert. And I've been in the woods a bunch of times in my life. I've done all the 4,000 footers in New Hampshire, done a lot of backpacking with my family as a kid, and where you'd be hanging your food in the woods so the bears don't get it. And then like, you come out of the tent and you make sure to clap your hands to scare anything away if you got to go to the bathroom or when you first wake up in the morning. So I was just alert, right? And it was weird because I turn my light back on, the green light, and I'm sweating, but I can see my breath, but it didn't feel like cold enough to see my breath. So it was just interesting. There's some moisture building up on the grass. I could feel that as I was running through kind of the single track. There's some real nice single track trails there that I really enjoy. So I come up through there and make a right into this like wide open prairie. So the woods kind of breaks, and there's like a prairie that's like literally probably 2 football fields wide and probably a football field long. And it just looked like, I don't want to say it looked like an ambush, but it just looked like, something's hiding out there, right? I'm not alone. I've been hearing coyotes like howling the entire time, which didn't really bother me. I just feel like they weren't going to be a problem for me. So I run through the prairie area, start to clap, right? So I'm clapping, and I look to my right, and my green light lights up. 1, 2, 3 sets of eyes, all kind of spaced out looking at me. And they all were kind of locked still, staring. Probably didn't know what that was. It probably smelled me, but didn't, the light probably confused them. Then I looked over to my left, and there were 2 more sets of eyes. And I was like, what the fuck, man? So I just kind of slowly proceeded past and continued my run. But I'll tell you, that was a little startling, especially kind of after the fact. That when I was in the situation, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, probably just some animals. But the eyes were in the front of their heads. I didn't think it was deer. They seemed a little bit, they seemed like it was like waist height, a little bit higher than waist height were the eyes, which seemed kind of too low to be a deer. And obviously like not tall enough. Like a rabbit's going to be way down low, and you wouldn't even see that. So I say about waist height. I'm not sure what it was. I talked to a couple people about it. Maybe coyote, maybe something like that. Who knows? But I didn't really grasp it at the moment, but it was kind of cool, a little scary at the same time. I kind of kept on running, chugging away, and hit up some more trails through there, and then hit an access road through it's kind of like a dirt road. There's like maybe 1 or 2 houses on it, no street lights. So I hit that road for a couple miles, headed back around the kind of the perimeter of the property. So ended up chalking up like 7 miles. I think it was like 3 to 4 on the trail, and then on some roads on the way back. But I didn't see a soul. I didn't see anybody. Got 7 miles in before the sunrise even really started. But it was really, the whole point is like just how it feels, to be out there alone. I think that's something that everybody should experience. And people are like, why would you go do that? Why would you waste your Sunday to wake up and do that? I don't know, because I just wanted to feel a little bit different. I just wanted a different environment. Like when you're running, I like taking a different route. It's like the brain enjoys it more. And then, okay, well, let's make it harder, so let's go do it at night and see what that feels like. But I just felt really alive, and I felt really alone, and I felt like the world is a much bigger place than we all think it is, right? We all think we have this self-centeredness about us, like the world revolves around us. But when you're out there in the woods in the middle of the dark, you realize how small you are. And it's kind of a good feeling. I kind of like it. It's also kind of something that people should think about, like how small we are in the grand scheme of things, but yet we're all like worried about what people will think about us if we put ourselves out there. So realize how big the world is and how most people don't even really care to even think about what you're doing. But we create this thing in our heads that we think people are watching and judging and, whatever. So that's just a takeaway for me, but amazing run. I had a great time. Happened to catch the sunrise right as I was getting back to my car. Beautiful fog coming up over the field with the sun lighting it up. It was really special. So also what's really great about it is when you wake up at 3:30 and you're running at 4, when you're in the middle of the week and you got to wake up at 5 and start running at, by 5:15, it seems like you slept in. So it's kind of like how I dimension it, like in my mind. So it's like, oh man, really don't want to wake up this early, but it'll make it feel easier during the week. So I had a nice run this week as well. 5:30, clocked another 7 miles, got to see the sun come up. I think it's just really powerful. And I would challenge all of you to get out there and just like go for a walk at night, with a light, and like go for a longer walk, not like 50 yards up the street and turn around. Like put on a couple miles and just be out there in silence alone. Obviously, if you could use a sidewalk, use a sidewalk, like, be smart about it. But I'm just feel like it's something that most of us don't get to experience, or wake up super early in the morning before you go to work and just go for, a 2-mile walk. There's something really calming about it and really kind of liberating. And nobody else is up. So like for me, when I'm running down the street at 5 o'clock in the morning and nobody's up, it's empowering for me. I feel like, hey, listen, I'm the 1%. I'm out here getting it when everybody else is in bed. It's a level of discipline, that I carry, that, when I put these things out there that I'm going to do, it's kind of the law to myself. Right. And that's how you build that confidence. People are always like, oh, how do I want more confidence, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, building more confidence is about keeping the promises you made to yourself. And those promises kind of become like the law of how you live. And that's what kind of shuts that doubt down that most people have pop up, that creates that lack of confidence. So, make a promise to yourself. You're going to get out in the morning and you're going to walk before the sunrise comes up, and you're going to do it for a week. And I think that if you actually go and do it, and I know there'll be a lot of people that don't even care to do it, and some will try to and make an excuse as to why they can't, then maybe one or two will. And for those one or two people that do, your perspective on everything changes. And I know it sounds so simple, Mike, how's a walk before anybody wakes up going to change my perspective? Well, the proof is you going and do it. So just go do it, and I think you'll realize everything I'm telling you is exactly right. So anyway, I had a good run this week as well, not just on Sunday. I had another good one on Wednesday, which is great, but I was able to get my fueling down. I was able to hit my targets for my calorie intake, my sodium, and my carbs, including my water intake. So for about an hour and 11-minute run, it was about 7 miles. I was able to get 18 ounces of water in, 410 calories, 1,155 grams of sodium, and 82 carbs. That came in the form of G1M Sport. It's a scoop of carbohydrate mix for my drink. That's a BPN product. BPN Go Gel, Honey Stinger Waffle, Rice Krispie Treat, and a scoop of electrolytes from BPN. Now, the only problem with that is that if I'm going to repeat that process for 5 hours, I'm going to need to do it with some real food. So I'm going to have to start considering some bananas, some English muffins with peanut butter on them, some different things to try to fuel the body that won't cause the stomach to flip on me. But anyway, just excited. Great week. Macros are locked in as well. Getting my protein number like I need to, and I can see the body starting to change a little bit. So that's some great news. But I came across not a quote, but it was like kind of a little dissertation that it's from a UFC guy, Khabib, which most of you, if you watch UFC, probably know. I don't watch a lot of UFC. I know a few guys that have fought in the UFC that I met throughout my jiu-jitsu journey, which is really kind of cool. They're special people with great determination and a great love for what they do. So this kind of dissertation that this guy put together carries some weight because these people that do this are high performance individuals, fearless, and extremely, extremely dedicated and disciplined. So you'll know Khabib from UFC 229, where he beat Conor McGregor by submission. So that's how most of you will know him. So this is how he kind of starts off, and it's in a little bit of broken English, but I'm going to read it exactly how he said it because it's powerful and it resonated with me, and hopefully it'll resonate with you. So here we go. Every man addicted to something. Some smoke, some drink, some chase girls, some waste time. But real man, he addicted to discipline, to early wakes, to prayer, to training, to silence. Discipline, no need, motivation. Discipline, move without feeling. Discipline, say I go anyway, even when tired, even when lonely. Discipline is best addiction. You want strong life, discipline, build it. You want peace, discipline, protect it. You want respect, discipline, earn it. No shortcut, only work. Be man with control, not man with excuse. No cry, no blame. You want better life? Start with better habits. Discipline every day until discipline become you. I love that. I wrote in my journal because that's a message I'd like to continue to carry and to continue to review. And, I'm not a UFC fighter by any stretch of the imagination, but early waking, training, silence, all that stuff resonates with me. It's very similar to my journey. I want a better life. I used to dream of a better life and look at other people and say, oh, why not me, or it must be nice. But then I decided, why don't I enforce some discipline and build a better life? And I did. There's no shortcut to anything in life, okay? Only work. It's about the truest thing out there. The more people look for a shortcut, the further off they get from the path and the further away from their goals that they are. When he says no cry, no blame, it's very powerful. For me, the crying and the blaming is just a distraction. It's a waste of energy. You need to understand that if you can enforce a level of discipline on yourself and on your life, everything becomes so much clearer. All the distraction burns away. All the excuses disappear. Because what you realize is that there's nobody out there that's going to come help you or save you. It's up to you. But what's so great about it is you know what you have to do. It's just doing it daily and consistently, which is where that level of discipline comes in. Most of you that have been listening to the podcast know that I have been on a journey myself. Had a really bad mental health problem at one point in time in my life. And all it really kind of boiled down to is I was living a life that wasn't disciplined. I was living a life of trying to find comfort around every corner. I was living a life just of emptiness, of drinking alcohol and trying to numb my pain and my insecurities. And then I started finding a little bit of discipline. And the first thing, and people hear me talk about this all the time, the first thing I started doing was drinking a gallon of water every single day. And now it's turned into running at 3:30 in the morning in total darkness. You have to start with some small steps that you can measure, that are strategic, and that you continue to do without anything else. Like there's no excuse. You have a written routine and you execute every item on that routine before you go to bed. And that just becomes who you are. And then as you get really good at executing that written routine, you start to add things to it. And it starts to evolve. Over years, it starts to change. And as you can, the more discipline you can enforce on yourself, the easier your life gets, the better it looks. So I came across another really kind of interesting paragraph that I want to share as well, because I talk about it a lot with a lot of my clients. We all get stuck thinking about like money, chasing money and being rich and all these things. Like a lot of young men are pursuing that. But where they fall off track is they pursue that before they pursue themselves, right? And if you meet anybody of measurable wealth, they will tell you that the money doesn't mean anything. They'll tell you that the things that matter are the person that you've created, the journey that you've been on that's developed you into the human being that you are today, your ability to be able to look at your deficiencies, address them, and pursue that as a passion. And I've had these conversations with these type of people, and it's been very liberating for me, and it confirms a lot of what I believe at this point in my life. If you build the man, the money will come. If you build that man or woman, the money will come. The problem is people try to get to that money first, and they think that it's going to save everything about who they are, and it's going to fix all their problems, but it just amplifies everything. So here's the kind of the paragraph. It's called Earned Worth. I've learned this the hard way, and I want you to hear it straight. Meaning isn't handed to you. It doesn't arrive with applause, and it sure as hell isn't free. You buy it, and the price is steep. You pay in the early mornings when your body begs you to stay in bed. You pay in the quiet sacrifices no one will ever see or thank you for. You pay in the choices that cost you comfort but build your spine. And you keep paying day after day until the man you were can no longer recognize the man you've become. When that day comes, you'll know you've earned something no one can take from you. That's the only kind of wealth worth having. It resonates with me, and I hope it does for you. So I have a way that I operate that I share with people. It's called the Compass of Discomfort. So I talk about the written routine, and the first thing about the written routine is it's your map. Okay, you can't operate without a map. If I took you and dropped you in the middle of the country from a helicopter with no map and you're blindfolded, you'd have no way of finding your way out. You'd have no way of getting to the X. But if I handed you a map, dropped you off with the compass, you might be able to find your way along that path. So the way I look at it is I have a map. I've written down where I want to go. I've written down what that trail might look like. Of course, it'll change. You'll hit roadblocks. You'll come across river crossings. You'll find peaks in your way that maybe you got to go around versus climbing over them, or maybe you come up to certain things you just need to blow a hole in the wall. But you'll never do that unless you follow the compass of discomfort. So for me, I've developed this over time, this idea. So I always execute what I call as a war map, and that's kind of my entire journey, where I want to go, what I want to do, addresses all the doubt, fear, and insecurity in my life is all written down the war map. And then I take the compass, all right, which instead of pointing north, my compass points to discomfort. So I point that compass, and I walk towards the discomfort. So anything in my life, that's how I measure it. So I have a bunch of things I want to do, or there's some events I need to go to, or challenges I need to take on, or whatever direction I need to go on this map is the one that points to the most discomfort. So my map is kind of written with the idea that the journey of discomfort is the most pleasurable one. So I've kind of made my mind kind of digest that and say, hey, listen, Mike, like we know that you need to walk towards discomfort to be better and to grow and to hit the goals that you need to hit, right? So why not let's just break the compass so it only points at discomfort. So any type of situation in my life, any type of big event, any type of, when I say event, I don't mean like a formal event. I mean like any sort of thing that is measurable that could bring change in your life, right? I point that compass and I say, all right, whatever way this compass points is the way I'm going, and it's always the most uncomfortable path. And I've been doing that for the last 5 to 6 years, and I get better at it, right? So, I would initially start pointing that compass, and I'd, convince myself that the compass was wrong. And, now where I'm at today, sometimes I don't even need the compass. I have a feel for it, right? So, just like when you're driving, you don't always need the GPS. You got a feel for where you're going. So when you get really good at walking into discomfort, you just get a feel for it. And then you kind of start to crave it. And that's kind of that reason why, you go for a run in the darkness at 3:30 in the morning. because you're looking for that discomfort because you know that it might bring something of value to your life. And it's the same thing with everything. It's any conversation you have with a new, a new person that you meet. It's anywhere around you, discomfort. It's just we get really good because we're at ignoring discomfort and trying to get away from it because that's how we're programmed. So you have to counter program your mind, where we all know you want to go seek comfort. That's how we all are, unfortunately. But when you have that compass that points to the discomfort and you just make this agreement with yourself, enforce that discipline that, hey, whatever way this compass points is going to point at the most uncomfortable way, that's the way we're going to take, because that's where the biggest return on investment is. That's where all the growth comes from. With no doubt in my mind, the only things that have ever brought a lot of happiness to my life were through the most uncomfortable paths. Anything that's easy isn't worth it. It's fleeting. And it fades really quick. I was telling somebody this the other day. It's like, you know what, you go out and buy a new car, and how quickly does that new car not do it for you anymore? But you go out and you run a marathon, or you get your master's degree, or you enter into some conversations that you've been running from for so long, and they go your way. Like that feels 100 times better. That level of accomplishment and reward and growth outweighs anything else. So walk towards the discomfort. Grit your teeth. Don't think about how scary it is. Just do it. You just have to start walking.